Past kneeling, yeah, I think it's time to go into actionable items. I think everyone knows what the issue is, and we're done with that. Everyone knows what you know what the issue is? You know why we were kneeling?
That's what he's telling us.
Okay, do you know the issue?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know the issue? Yes? We all know the issue now. Okay, next. Where are we moving on next?
On this first Sunday of the new NFL season, the new social justice initiative between Jay-Z and the NFL seems to have fumbled on its first play. The Inspire Change Initiative awarded $200,000 to a Chicago-based nonprofit, the Crushers Club, which aims to reduce gang violence by empowering youth through boxing, music, and apparently this: cutting the natural hair of young black boys and then tweeting that the trim was, quote, symbolic of their desire for a better life, as though a gang-free future is impossible with dreads. The photos were taken in 2016, and the tweets have since been deleted. The woman in the photographs, Crushers Club founder Sally Hazelgrove, has apologized, and she says her organization welcomes all hairstyles and noted that her children are biracial. Joining me now to discuss, Reverend Mark Thompson, social justice activist and former radio host. He's also a podcast host right now. We'll talk about that. And Jamil Smith, senior writer for Rolling Stone. I'm going to come to you first, and I want to note, first of all, full disclosure, that same organization, the Crushers Club, did receive an award, a grant award from the Comcast NBCU Foundation. So they've received an award there as well. And the young man who's in the picture, his name is Kobe, he actually defended them. He said, shout out to the Crushers Club. I'm a changed young man now, cut my hair like 3 years ago. That was something I wanted to do. I was tired of it, tired of gangbanging, tired of messing up. Now I'm a changed young man trying to see bigger and better dreams. So I wanted to note that. But what is your take on this? Before I even get your take, give me your take on this. Give me your take on it first.
Thank you for having me this morning, Joy, as always. So, Crushers Club, from what I've been able to gather, may be doing some good. All right, that's possible. But there's a great deal of cultural insensitivity. Tweeting about all lives matter. Whenever there was gun violence in Chicago, Sally Hazelgrove would tweet at or troll President Obama as if he had something to do with it or could wave a magic wand and do something about it. And it just goes back to that right-wing meme of Chicago, Chicago, but Chicago. We always hear that. And then when Trump comes in, she asks him to come in and save Chicago, you know, with that whole white savior meme again. And then with the locks, I mean, that's insensitive. You know, I'll be honest with you, the commemoration of 1619 is great, but one of the drawbacks is some of us think that's when our history began. There are tombs in Egypt where ancient pharaohs had locks. Ethiopians, who they call Abyssinians, had locks. The Messiah in Kenya had locks. So there's nothing wrong with locks. That's a part of our culture. So cutting them off is insensitive. And it's obviously Jay-Z did not vet this organization, or those who were to vet failed him.
To be clear, is it Rock Nation? It was his side that picked them?
That is, I have reason to believe it was Rock Nation, because what's interesting, when I asked him at the press conference, how are you going to pick these groups, he talked about players, because players have been involved in a social justice conversation.
Yeah.
I don't have any reason to believe that players, NFL players, or even the Bears who were in Chicago, black players on their team were consulted as to who. And
you mentioned the press conference. This is the August 14th press conference. Let me stay with you for a moment. Let me play a little bit of the press conference. So Mark was actually at the press conference and had a chance to ask Jay-Z a question about this, his new organization. Take a look. Oh, we don't have it yet. Okay.
Can you elaborate on how the different community groups or nonprofits should be identified that you're going to work with, and I guess they're going to be funded?
Some will be identified by the players, because this exists currently. Some will be identified by the artists that participate in these programs. They'll say, again, I'm using Chance's name maybe way too much, but Chance his thing is education, so he'll focus on education. So it'll be between the organizations, the artists, and the players.
Is your question about this that you don't believe the vetting of the entities, the organizations that are getting the money? What is your question about?
Well, I mean, how could he pick an organization? He has locks. So why would you give money to an organization where someone is stigmatizing and stereotyping blacks? And there are plenty of organizations in Chicago. And again, it may be doing good things.
Yeah.
But if you just do a cursory glance at something and not look at the fact that this person is potentially a Trump supporter, when Trump is one of the people who attacked Colin Kaepernick and, quite frankly, held the league hostage. It was the owner of the Patriots who said he was doing that and forcing them to do something. They called all the players SOBs. I mean, it just seems to me that's not a very good vetting process, and it failed him.
And so my producer telling me that the woman says she's not a Trump supporter, but she's cleverly maybe to the right politically. We don't know. We don't know what her politics are. But let's go to you, Jamil, because you've written about this. You wrote a piece entitled "They Didn't Kneel for This." That was the title of your piece. I'll quote a little bit of you to yourself. Under the guise of philanthropic activism, this new organization are taking credit for Kaepernick's message, even as they paid him a monetary settlement for continuing to deny him employment because he chose to express it. Here, Colin Kaepernick did tweet video of himself training back in 2004 with the caption "Denied work for 917 days" for putting work in pre-draft to staying ready against the odds. Love to my brother, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What do you make of all of this, Jamil?
Yeah, of course, the video was just him training with Odell Beckham of the Cleveland Browns earlier, I believe, this year. And so I make of it that the NFL should not be counted on to, co-opt the message of someone who is their antagonist and be expected to actually do it correctly. I think that, we should understand that the NFL was sued by Colin Kaepernick for denying him employment because he conveyed the exact message which they are now attempting to co-opt and now slap on a T-shirt and, use to sell concerts and in singles called Songs of the Season. In this inspired change is exactly what Colin Kaepernick was doing when he was kneeling on those sidelines, 3 years ago, during, before the games during the anthem. So I think, yeah, go ahead, Joy. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, in your mind, what do you think that Jay-Z is doing here? Is this a capitalist move? Is this, is this a branding move? What do you think that he is? What is he doing here?
I mean, frankly, as I wrote in the column, I think that. I just wish that the NFL had just let him buy into a team without sort of putting this civil rights paint job on the rest of it. I just think that, if I understand that they, maybe it might have been tough for the NFL to have a black owner while they're actually banning a black quarterback for presenting a social justice message. But I think that, look, all Jay-Z needed to do was just simply buy into a team. And he didn't need to have a whole, rigmarole about, I'm going to, have this whole civil rights, social justice, entrepreneurship thing when it's obviously poorly organized. It's, the very first thing that they give money to is all about respectability politics. Respectability politics is not going to save us, and neither is the NFL. I can say that as a former employee of the league. I understand that their first priority is protecting the shield. It's about making money, and we should understand that this is an entertainment product. We have to make systemic change for ourselves through government, through laws, and not through our entertainment options.
And so do you think this can be saved, this situation?
I don't think so, because the NFL thinks that the Colin Kaepernick issue is over, that people have moved on, but they haven't. I mean, what happened with Colin Kaepernick is very similar to what happened with Muhammad Ali. It's not resolved in that way until he gets a job, and even with the settlement, the secret settlement doesn't close. And so I agree with Jamil to some extent, but Jay-Z ought to think about the historical context of our ongoing struggle. Would he have, if the city of Birmingham had offered him a business during what was going on down there and Dr. King was in jail, would that be a solution? Well, I'll just open a business. If the MLB gave him a team when Kurt Flood sued, would that be okay? And I don't think so. So I think he really ought to reconsider all of this.
All right, Reverend Mark Thompson, what's the name of the podcast?
Make It Plain.
Make it plain. All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate you. And Jamil Smith, thank y'all very much. More AM after the break.